Were you surprised at the ending?
Yeah. Yeah, I was very surprised.
A TikTok user may have just found a major Gossip Girl clue fans missed in the very first episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have got to unpack this absolutely crazy Gossip Girl theory, but before we get started, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms. Avery, I have to say, I watched Gossip Girl when it was on. I binged it recently. It is totally a guilty pleasure. Are you a fan? Did you love the series?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was obsessed in high school to the point where I feel like it took too much of a toll on my life. I thought I was Blair Waldorf at a point. And it's one of those few shows I've actually gone back and rewatched the whole thing over and over again. And it's already pretty lengthy. So that's how you know it's a good one.
Oh my gosh, no, that is such a true benchmark. There are so many seasons of Gossip Girl. They are not short episodes. If you're willing to put in the work to re-binge a series that long, then you know you are a true fan. You guys, there are 6 seasons, more than 120 episodes. And obviously, at the very end of it all, we learn the big reveal that it has been Dan Humphrey all along. He is Gossip Girl. He is the mysterious figure that has been controlling, everyone's lives. Avery, did you see it coming the first time around? Were you shocked? Were you, thinking it was Dan? Were you suspicious? How did that reveal feel to you?
I would go back and forth with this because the show went in so many different directions. There was a point where you thought it was basically every character, but I would kind of think it was Dan at first, but then it would be like, no, that's way too obvious. It can't be him.
Mm-hmm.
But if we go back and think about it, it makes so much sense. He's the writer. He's always was more of the mysterious kind of guy, always had something to hide. And it makes absolute sense. And it looks like it was in front of our face the whole time, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I am super lame, and literally walking into the series finale way back when, I had no hunch because they really just pointed us in so many directions. And, we were watching it live, we weren't binging it. So it definitely caught me by surprise when it happened. But I am with you if you look for it, especially when you rewatch. There are some clues, there are some moments that kind of, point us in that direction as the show progresses. One of those clues is this moment that a TikTok user just pointed out, and it is truly shocking, all things considered, when we look back on it now. Basically, what this person noticed is in the very first episode, at the literal very end, there is a moment that makes it fairly obvious what's going on. I just want to roll the clip, you guys, because it's pretty crazy.
Why'd she return? Send me all the deets. And who am I? That's one secret I'll never tell. The only one. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Oh my goodness. So we have Dan literally at the end on a laptop. I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone picked up on it at the time, but looking back, crazy. I mean, my mind is blown.
It's crazy, and it's weird to think none of us picked up on it because, like I said, it literally was in front of our faces the whole entire time. But I think that was kind of the point of it, so people would question if he was Gossip Girl-esque because it's almost like way too obvious. Why would they just throw that scene in? But they were trying to tell us the whole time. We just were too wrapped up in the show.
I know, it is so crazy. And you guys, this is not the only clue that people have kind of noticed that's fairly obvious after the fact. Another one that people have spotted, on TikTok, on social media, is when we first hear Gossip Girl's voice at the beginning of the pilot, we see Serena Woodsen in Grand Central Station. And the other main character that is there at the time is Dan.
Thanks for the photo, Mel.
Dan, Jenny, over here.
So this one is perhaps, a little less obvious, but it is interesting. In the pilot episode, the first time we hear from Gossip Girl, we see Dan. And when we end the episode, closing it out with Gossip Girl, we see Dan again. So they literally bookended that pilot with potential Easter eggs, if you will.
Yes, I mean, it's like they were hinting it to us, but less direct. And it's funny because he's like the second character we see once the show starts. And like I said, there's the answers right there. But I don't know, the way they worked around it and made viewers think it was someone new, after so many events. It's just crazy because I thought it every character at one point of the show. So it's funny how it ended up just being Dan the whole time.
I know. And I mean, listen, aside from clues and Easter eggs, I think one of the things that fans at home definitely have going for us is the show was not without plot holes, right? There are a lot of moments that if you really try to, make that series of events add up with Dan being Gossip Girl, sometimes it's a stretch of the imagination at best. And what's interesting is Pen Badgley actually himself wasn't fully sold on it being Dan. He had to wrap his mind around it too when he found out it would be him. Way back when in an interview he said,
because it technically doesn't make sense for anybody to be Gossip Girl. For Dan to be Gossip Girl, I mean, I would have loved if there had been a million flashes of every time he looked at his cell phone and was like receiving some blast from Gossip Girl and being blown away by it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that bitch did that to me.
He said that back in 2015. And then he, of course, followed up with, it made enough sense, with Dan being a writer. What's really interesting is based on interviews with production and writers, who worked on the show, it sort of feels as though there were always multiple candidates for Gossip Girl. Some people may have had Dan in mind from the beginning, but there were other opportunities and other characters that were sort of explored. They didn't go into it from day one with a clean-cut plan, even though we do have those Easter eggs that we're looking back on now. One of the show's writers talked about how Eric Woodsen was a candidate at one point. Nate Archibald was a candidate at one point. He personally shared that he thought it was Eric until the end of season 2, and that in his scenes, what he was writing, he always tried to kind of guide it that way. That was where he was hoping the Gossip Girl storyline would go. But a New York Post article actually published the spoiler that Gossip Girl was Eric. And to this day, the writer has no idea. He thinks they were just genuinely guessing. But had the New York Post not published that spoiler article, they may have continued pushing the Eric narrative instead of Dan at the end of it all. He also said then there was possibly Nate because we never saw him send anything into Gossip Girl. So the fact that Nate never submitted anything kind of kept him on the table as a candidate. But in the end, it had to be Dan because Dan is a writer, observer, and could write in different styles. So this is totally interesting to me because I feel like it kind of reminds me of Pretty Little Liars, right? Where like the cast didn't exactly know who was A. There were multiple possibilities throughout the whole time. And even in the writer's room, different paths were being explored. But then they had to tie it all together at the end. So really quite the task to take on. Did you ever have a hunch, Avery, that it was Eric or Nate? I did think it was Nate for a while.
I don't think I thought it was Nate just because I didn't want to believe that. But I remember thinking it was Eric for a while just because he also was that kind of like mysterious guy who was way more questionable than any of the other characters. So I could see how it was going to go into that direction for a while. And that's crazy. I did not know the New York Times spoiled it. And I wonder if they really knew or if that was a guess. But it's just funny how things work out. I feel like if an expert was to go back and put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it wouldn't fully add up to Dan. But Dan does make sense at the end of the day that he was Gossip Girl.
Oh, totally. It's sort of like when you made like the pro and con charts for every character, Dan definitely checks the most boxes, has the most legitimacy in terms of who it could be. But some of those plot holes could be attributed, to the fact that there wasn't we started here, we're going to end here, everything else in between is planned out kind of path for the character. So very interesting what they were able to do with the original series, which leads us to the fact that Gossip Girl is coming back. It's being rebooted, which is so exciting. I think so many fans are so thrilled. What we know so far is that the 2021 adaptation is going to follow the new crowd of Manhattan's elite. It's going to be 8 years after the original characters find out that Dan is Gossip Girl. The new cast is actually more diverse. It is going to be centering around way more LGBTQ representation, which is absolutely incredible. We also know that Kristen Bell is returning as the voice of Gossip Girl, which is going to be so nostalgic and so fun. Unfortunately, we don't have an official release date yet, but word on the street is it may be out later this year. So keeping our fingers crossed for that, of course. What is really interesting is, with all of that being said, we don't really know what the Gossip Girl format of it all is going to be. Like if it's going to be a mysterious voice, a mysterious character, you know, a blog, a website like it was in the original series, or if they're going to take a completely different path this time around. One of the writers and producers from the original show has signed on to the reboot. And this is the best kind of clue or teaser we have gotten as to what the Gossip Girl character may look like. He said, quote, "We thought there was something really interesting about the idea that we are all Gossip Girl now in our own way, that we are all purveyors of our own social media surveillance state, and how that has evolved and how that has mutated and morphed, and telling that through a new generation of Upper East Side high school kids." So that's pretty crazy. And I definitely want your thoughts on that, Avery. But the other big question I think on everyone's mind is, will any of the original cast, you know, be making cameos, be a part of the show? And it's basically possible. There is a lot of like, oh, I would love to, and oh, maybe, like that could be great. The door is open, basically, but we've got no official commitments as of right now. So, first of all, what do you make of the everyone is Gossip Girl idea? And second of all, do you hope we see any of the original cast back?
I think the idea that everyone is Gossip Girl kind of makes sense, especially for present day. You know, the original Gossip Girl came out in the early 2000s, and there was no like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all these things we have, and blogging was more of a trend, and it just made sense with the times, but they can't really do that nowadays anymore because of social media. So I can understand how everyone in their own way on their own platforms is kind of taking part in being Gossip Girl, which hopefully just leads to more drama and hecticness, as we all know it will. But I'm interested to see their play on that because it will be totally different. But I think maybe even better since it isn't possibly just one person, and that already got so confusing as it was. But I do also hope there are plenty of appearances from the old cast because, I mean, we just can't get enough of them. I've already rewatched the show, I think 2 or 3 times now. So if they make an appearance, I know that's what the fans want to see. And of course, all of us Gossip Girl stans as well.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, I'm excited for the new show. I think I'm interested in watching either way, but if they could just give us those few gifted moments of some of those actors coming back, revisiting these characters, I think it would truly take it to the next level. I know that you and I are so excited about this, Avery, but you guys watching, we want to know how you are feeling about the fact that Gossip Girl is being rebooted. And of course, what do you make of this crazy Easter egg moment? Does it make you think of the original series in a different light? Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.